Hey guys, it's Skywalker. Welcome to my guide to playing as the Imperials and Walker Assault. In this two-part guide, I'll first break down the matchups between the two Imperial Starfighters against the X-Wing. Of course, expect some dogfight footage and some slow-mo breakdowns. In the second part, in a video that will come later, I'll discuss the matchups against the A-Wing. Without further ado, let's talk about matching up against the X-Wing. The highest score per minute for an Imperial pilot will always come during the X-Wing phase. If you can get the jump on one or two X-Wing pilots, they go down pretty fast. It's very possible to match the score per minute of a great Rebel pilot during the X-Wing phase. Outpost Beta and Graveyard of Giants match the TIE Fighter with the X-Wing, which is a fairly balanced matchup. You should always try to spawn in during the start of the round to try and push the Rebels out of the air. Without shields, it's best to rely on strength in numbers, but that's not to say that you can't be successful against multiple opponents. Here's a good example. Don't blink, or you might miss it. The TIE Fighter is the superior Imperial aircraft compared to the TIE Interceptor. It has a unique mix of speed and maneuverability that allows it to do well against both the X-Wing and the A-Wing. Dogfighting in the TIE Fighter requires much faster decision making than the Rebel fighters, especially if you're used to relying on shields. It can be nerve-wracking even for the best pilots, as the margin for error is very small. I actually recorded a ton of TIE Fighter dogfights. This is one of the better examples, and I hope to give you a few things to work on by breaking down this 2v1. So here we go. As always, when you spawn in, you should try to quickly choose and obtain the fastest kill shot possible. Hopefully someone has their back to you. Here it's not so easy. Never directly approach a Rebel fighter in a head-on. They probably have their shields up, and you'll do no damage and die in an instant. Instead, use a barrel roll motion. At long range, you should be able to avoid blaster fire completely. Use your speed boost early because using it too late makes it harder to maneuver and you may find yourself out of position. Once you're getting close, you'll need to use your barrel roll defensive maneuver to dodge incoming fire. There's a timing to it. Too early and you won't be able to dodge blaster fire. Too late and you leave yourself out of position and make it easy for the X-Wing pilot to acquire your tail as you momentarily lose control of your ship. You must also consider the direction your TIE Fighter is pointing. Too low and you'll crash, or leave yourself out of position. Too high, you'll again leave yourself out of position. In this example, it's just about right. When passing in a head-on, change your elevation right away, and try and cut into your opponent's loop from below or above. You'll most likely catch them in a horizontal loop. You should always go after the fighter in the back, as they'll line up on you and kill you, if you try to go after the one in the front. You wish every Imperial dogfight could start here. These pilots have probably both burned their shields to try and kill me in a head-on. Looked like I got an assist from a ground unit, as this Rebel fighter is one-shot, and this turned into a 1v1 in a hurry. This guy thinks he lost me and is trying to create distance to come back and try to get a kill shot on me. You should never leave a one-on-one turning battle. Just practice and practice until you get better at it. He uses a barrel roll to buy some time. He would have probably been better off using his Immelman. You should always use defensive maneuvers to close distance, not create more. His shields come off cooldown, but it's already too late. Always make your torpedoes count as Imperials. They do take down the shields, so save them to break shields or get a kill shot. They seem to have a slower travel speed than the Rebel missiles, and they lose their lock-on from a distance, so use them at close range. The best times to spawn in as an Imperial fighter is at the beginning of the round and during Y-Wing bombing runs. You should always try to push the Rebels out of the air in the beginning. The key is to push out the opposing X-Wings and then sit in the Rebel spawn to get the first mover advantage on pilots spawning in. You don't really want to strafe the ground, as you'll probably only net a kill or two before more Rebel pilots spawn back in. You're more likely to get caught by surprise or get caught in a head-on, both of which spell death for the Imperial pilot. All for going for a couple of infantry kills that don't get you nearly as many points or help your team as much as a vehicle kill. Of course, if you see that a really good teammate has a Rebel spawn covered, you may want to strafe the ground. The decision is yours. In any event, keep air superiority and prevent enemy fighters from killing your AT-ATs and AT-STs during the Y-Wing strafes. Hopefully your teammates on the ground are skilled enough to keep the uplinks off. Sorosub Centroplex and Genlin Waste match the TIE Interceptor with the X-Wing. This isn't a matchup at all in your favor, yet I see that a lot of times the TIE interceptors push out the X-Wings. This is most likely to happen by taking advantage of strength in numbers and the element of surprise. Again, if you fancy yourself a pilot and your teammates are pushing into the air, push with them. All the same principles to dogfighting apply with the TIE interceptor. It's just a lot harder to turn. Be wary of maneuvers toward the ground. Very important to continually change your elevation, but the TIE interceptor takes very wide loops, especially after using their speed boost. If an X-Wing ends up acquiring your tail in a one-on-one situation, it's almost impossible to shake them. You can try the vertical loop and use your speed boost to give yourself a prayer. It'll buy time for a teammate to come and get him off of you, but you'll almost never reverse a dogfight against a good X-Wing pilot. If your team gets pushed out of the air, just start ground pounding the uplinks. It's tougher to win 2v1s and 3v1s without shields, and the uplinks are more vital to success than air superiority. The personal shield may be useful in pushing outdoor uplinks, as the rebel air superiority will result in a lot of fighters strafing on you. You may look up to see if your teammates are pushing it and decide for yourself if it's worth pushing with them. You may see your teammates kill a couple enemy fighters, or a couple rebel pilots may crash. Choose these opportunities to try to take back air superiority. At the end of a Walker assault phase during the Y-Wing bombing run is always an opportunity to spawn into a fighter and try to push the rebels out, or at the very least, give them something else to shoot at besides your team's AT-ATs. If you push the X-Wings out in the second phase of Jundland Wastes, it's an opportunity to go into the third phase as a TIE pilot, which is always a good time. Well, I hope this helps. Stay tuned for my guide on challenging the A-Wing and Walker Assault. As always, happy hunting, and I'll see you in the next one.